The biggest thing is like we want to keep making reports. We want to keep raising awareness. I really want to know from our viewers what they want us to work on, to be honest.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nathan, and I am joined today with my amazing other Election Truth Alliance members. Some of you are familiar with Lilli, one of the three executive directors. But then we have as well Pengy joining us, who is a longstanding member of the ETA. Really, the point of this video, we'll kind of do our personal backgrounds here real quick, so you guys are caught up. But this is hopefully one of many opportunities going forward where other people can be out here talking about what the work the ETA is doing, and it's not just Nathan in a trench coat, as we always say. So me, my background was in cybersecurity information systems before this. I post the 24 election, started, looking into some of the concerns around what happened during that election. And that's when Lilli actually reached out to me and connected me with Jive. And that's where, we really started putting our heads together, and the ETA was ultimately a side effect of doing that work and starting to dig into the data and other findings as well. So I'll kind of let Lilli jump in and give her background. You've seen her in a few other videos prior to this, but she hasn't gotten the level of attention in the limelight as she will now. So
I was telling everyone on the team that Nathan and I, despite working in each other's pockets for over a year now, have never been in a video together, and I think it was a shock and a surprise. But it's great to have some of our internal dynamics be able to be put out there more broadly. Hi everyone, I'm Lilli. It's great to see you. My background is in political science and history, but in my real person life, I'm a public servant in Canada. And I work as an exec director in the ETA of communications and operations. And I'm super happy to have to be here today, especially with the next guest of honor here, the wonderful, the honorable, the delightful Pengy.
Hi, I'm Pengy. Lilli, you're so kind to give me such a nice intro. I come from the data world. I also do security. I am certified with some cool security certs, if I do say so myself. I've been working very hard for about a year now, roughly, with the ETA and working on the data analysis and some of the reports that you guys have seen. And we have an awesome team. Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, I think there's been many a times when some piece of data will come up in our research, and I'll be messaging Pengy and like, look at this, oh, this is cool. And then she'll send me stuff. So
and I'll be like, yeah, that looks really familiar. Did you see this other thing? Ooh, it's a pattern.
Yeah, it's a pattern.
Or I cleaned the data for this one. It was tricky to do.
Oh goodness.
Logging
the
through
data
so
cleaning.
many PDFs. Oh my goodness.
Well, in this video, we got a little outline. Lilli loves making and running the outlines. It's almost like that's what she does. And so we're going to go over a few things real quick. Obviously, we had our introductions. As Lilli likes to say, we're killing it on the introductions. But just for you guys, we're going to very quickly go into kind of, the how we got here, right? What really got us to this moment, ETA-wise. What has the ETA really been doing for the last year? Has it been a year? It's been over a year now, hasn't it?
It has.
I think December was our
We
year.
had our 1 year anniversary our 1 year birthday not too long ago.
It doesn't feel like a year, and yet it feels like forever. So
yes,
it's really interesting.
It feels like 1,000 years and no time at all. It's been 5 minutes and an eternity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of do the how we got here, and then, as I said, we'll talk a little bit about where the ETA is going trajectory wise, and then we'll just kind of touch base on some of the major pieces that go with that. So as I already mentioned, really how we got here as an organization was the ETA didn't exist a little over a year ago, and in the moment we were leading up to building this organization, we realized, as people throughout the United States, as we started coming together, or people abroad, or in Lilli's case in Canada, we realized there almost seemed like there was a hole in a group, or a watchdog organization in the U.S. that was actually out here fighting the level of attention that would have been needed to cover our elections. Since then, we've actually run into groups that are doing the same work, and we've realized it. But the problem was there wasn't really a lot of attention on it, and it was really hard to find some of the things they've done. So one of the purposes of the ETA as we sit here is to educate Americans on how our elections run in the U.S. to begin, and spread that level of information and really bring people together and connect them when it comes to defending elections and making sure they're transparent. And as you know now, we've had so many amazing volunteers help us manage just the social media side of things, and it takes an army. It is a lot of work. And, as a side effect, we need more people to speak about what the ETA is doing outside of just me. And here we are with this video. So I'll let you guys jump in. Anything else you'd like to really add as we,
There we go. Go for it, Pengy.
I mean, you say it very well. I guess the biggest thing is we want to make sure that just there's always transparency, there's always security, there's always evolution, there's always every right for every single person's vote counted, no matter who you voted for. I think that's kind of like core to our function and making sure that there's visibility always in that process.
100%. And I would say that, it was a we don't talk too much about those wild early days, but it was a pretty frenetic time. Myself, Nathan, and Jive were coming together over Christmas time into the new year. We were working frantically on our first ever video. Many of us had never made a YouTube video before. We were learning these techniques in live time that we since have learned more and know that there are international experts out there that have been doing this work for a long time, and we're so grateful to them for being the shoulders that we stand on. I would say that you see the products that we put out, you see the our responses to things, but we're people behind the scenes. I often like to say we are people with jobs and toddlers and parents and all kinds of things pulling us in a lot of directions. But I think everyone in the organization has this central guiding principle of if everyone's vote should be counted and counted accurately. And if there is uncertainty around that, the solution is not to put our head in the sand. The solution is to put ourselves to work and make sure that we can be a degree of oversight, analysis, insight, and making sure that we can be 100% confident in the results of elections as they occur, and that we are not, in future, not playing as much catch up as we kind of had to play this time to get our feet under us and figure out some of these methods and figure out how to get our voices out there. And so I think it's been a wild time. As Pengy mentioned, we have recently had our 1-year anniversary of the date that we were incorporated, which was in January. I have very fond memories, Pengy, of when you joined and having a lovely conversation with you in my garden and just instantly knowing what a tremendous asset you were going to be, both on the data side and then now on the comm side as well. And I think it's just so delightful for us to be able to we're in each other's pockets a lot. We have a lot of meetings every week. We have a lot of back and forth and messages. It's a lot.
a lot of
Amazing
meetings.
though, because none of us have ever met in person. But I feel like if we were to meet in person, it'd be like an instant click. It'd just be fantastic.
Well, the best part is when we interview members that go on to join the ETA, I always ask the very simple question of why. Why are you wanting to join now, really? And a lot of the time, their answer is almost always, I can't sit by and do nothing, right? I want to help. I want to be involved. I think that's pretty much exactly what you said.
I did. I was going to say it was that, and I have a strong sense of justice and fairness.
Yeah, and that's really all we're doing here. And I think that's the important piece is, as we continue to do more in the ETA, the focus isn't on politics. It's on making sure elections are free and fair, independent of who's running. And I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. Some of the issues we're finding right now are things that have come up in the past. And it seems to, people will at a glance look at it and, kind of have a little bit of a bias. And that's what we need to get away from, right? We need to focus on the data. We need to focus on the facts, the truth. And then we work with that independent of, the parties that go with it.
I think I like to always say that, if any party or any candidate is cheating, then that is not acceptable. And it does not matter. It has no consequence what party they are in. That is not an acceptable thing. And our organization has no leniency for it. We will analyze and we will report out regardless.
Absolutely.
right.
And I think the big piece is going to be how can we as an organization, but how can Americans be involved in protecting elections as we go forward, right? Or, paying attention to stuff. I think there's going to be opportunity to continue to look at both, the 24 election, earlier elections, and upcoming elections and do some of the data analysis that the ETA is really putting out. But some of the other stuff as well deals with how can we get ahead of, any concerns around manipulating the elections in the midterms, especially.
For sure. I'd also say it's really interesting to kind of not only dig deep into the current or the future, but kind of seeing trajectory over time and seeing what that will kind of shape out and look like. Because a lot of people come at us and say, oh, well, you haven't looked at the last couple of years, or you haven't done this, or you haven't done that. I promise things are coming, they're in the works. It just takes time, and we are a volunteer led organization. So, but it is really cool to see, how that's going to shape out
We
there.
got to do our due diligence, right, Lily? We got to make sure all of the I's
That's
are
right.
dotted and the T's are crossed. And,
Nathan knows what I'm going to say. It's that,
Data
as much
fidelity is very important. Sorry.
it's critical. No, data fidelity is critical. And, I say this all the time, and I think it gets under our skin because sometimes we really want to share something and we really want to get out the door and do it. But ultimately, some of these products are just ready when they're ready.
Yeah,
And it is just not going to, if you rush something out that's really important, you only get one first introduction. You only get to
true.
introduce something once. And so it really is important to take the time that it needs because there's nothing more important than than the truth, than democracy. Then we don't want to undermine the good work that our team is doing because we get too excited and we put something out a bit early. So I know it can drive people spare, but I do. It comes from a place of really caring about integrity.
you get
Um,
one shot, you get
get
one
one
first
shot.
impression. And the worst thing in the world is being excited and sharing something. And then now you have to do a follow up. And you're like, hey, this piece was incorrect or there was an error here or whatever. And it takes the high that you may have been on in terms of, oh, this was awesome. We got this out in front of a bunch of people. Here we are having to, follow up and fix something. Luckily, we've been that was pretty much right at the beginning. We were like, we need to reduce those risks. We need to make
Mhm.
sure the
Yeah.
data is verified. And we've been better at this point to absolutely make sure, verify where the data came from, make sure that's publicly available. And then, when we put it out there, answering people's questions and concerns, what's coming next, right? We've already kind of touched a little bit about the data, but,
I
where are we
mean,
going?
the biggest thing is like we want to keep making reports. We want to keep raising awareness. I really want to know from our viewers what they want us to work on, to be honest, because that could help guide our next big actions or our next big things. I know that we're working on a lot of different initiatives right now, and our team is so excited to work on all of these things, but we are few, but we are mighty, so we will make every effort to try to get those highlights where possible. So let us know in the comments what y'all think.
Yeah, we'll have some new media initiatives. We'll have other ways of getting you guys updates, and we're building the plan for going into the new year and into the midterms, and how people can be engaged in helping protect their local elections, their state elections, and then even sharing information with us or other entities to you know respond to problems if they occur. So, but yeah,
Well,
this has been awesome, really.
I'll just say really briefly that these you're seeing some new faces today with myself and Pengy. We're not here to replace Nathan. Nathan's not going anywhere. But I am the number one member of the fan club of Nathan as a human person and needs to be able to split his attention sometimes, whether it is pushing forward legal efforts, doing public engagement with election officials. If it is a lot, and if you only have one person who can go on camera, it can be a huge pressure and stretch. So we've really known for a long time that we want to give him some reinforcements and some comrades in arms at his side in this fight. Visually and not just at your back, that are there but people don't get to see. We want to be alongside you. So I do want to say, just like Nathan, you've done such an incredible job. We know that people adore you, and we're honored to be here on the screen with you. Thank you. And I'll maybe say, because I always, poor Nathan hears so much feedback about his videos all the time, so I'll take this bullet. We ask this rarely, but if you are able to like, subscribe, if you're able to leave a comment, it really helps us out, lets us see what you're thinking, and also helps the algorithm boost us. We don't always get the reach that we would like sometimes, so it would be wonderful. We really, really appreciate it, and thank you, all of you, for being here and supporting us in our work.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.